people looking away.
Okay, next step is going to be base installation. Okay, and now I'm going to start to move into my sandbox, but like I said, you can see it better on the YouTube video. You're going to do this after the fabric goes in. That's one thing that's not on that video that I don't really agree with, but that's okay. I mean, we talked about it today. The next thing is the way that they put the gravel in is they have a different type of compactor. It's going to make they can install a little bit more. But what you're going to do is you're going to start to install your base material. It's 21 AA. What you have here is you got 3/4 of an inch all the way down to your fines. You need that kind of combination of sizes because it's going to give you the good interlock, but it's also going to give you a little bit of drainage. So 21 AA is what you ask for. You're going to take that and you're going to start installing that over your geosynthetic fabric. And what you're going to do is if you have a compactor like the one we have out here or something a little bit bigger, regardless of the size, you're going to be putting that into the 2-3 inch lift. So what that means is you put in 2 inches, or 2 to 3 inches compacted, 2 to 3 inches compacted, then that last one. I think you need to compact 3 times, and you're going to think my math's not very good because, you know, 3 and 3 and 3 is 9. I'm only telling you 6 inches or 4 to 6 inches. The way I think you do it is you put in that 2 to 3, you compact it, 2 to 3, you compact it. That last layer is probably only going to be about 1 inch thick in reality, but you're going to take your time. You're going to make it very flat and smooth. What you need to understand is the base. What the base is that's what's going to be the surface of the pavers. It needs to be perfect. I'm going to get into the bedding layer, the screening layer next, the setting pipes, and I'm going to talk about using these pipes here. This is going to be our next step, but I'm going to talk about it here, and I'll get into these in a second, but this is a really good way of checking your base because you can take a pipe and you can roll it over the top. Wherever you see daylight underneath that pipe, you can add a little bit of gravel. The thing is you want to fix your base material with gravel, 21 AA gravel, not with sand. You need to make this whole system very consistent so if something happens, you can kind of figure out why. So that's the base material. This is probably the most important spot of the whole project, is doing your base and doing it properly. I don't think it's the most dangerous. I don't think it's the most labor, well, it is kind of probably the most labor intensive, but it's the most important for sure. So, okay, now we're going to get into your sand bed. And I'm going to say, I got my little sandbox here, and what you see is you got my base extension, 6 inches outside my proposed side of my pavers. The next thing is everything's pretty flat and smooth. If you're really good, you can take your pipes and you can set them down, they're going to be perfect. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to do this with black pipe. This is something you get at like your local, like Home Depot or Lowe's or whatever. It's black pipe, 1 inch black pipe. Now, the thing is this is great for what we're going to use it for, but it's not cheap, and I really don't know what to do with it once you're done. So you can use PVC, but you gotta be very careful to make sure that you seat it properly so it doesn't flex. I think this is the best thing to use, but you know what? You're gonna spend a good amount of money. You're gonna need several pieces. You know, is it worth it in the project? So you gotta think about that. Okay, so what you're gonna do, and actually the best thing to do is look in the tech guide here on page not 15. I got a dog here on page 27, and it's going to give you a very good indication of what you're going to be doing here. But what you're going to do is you're going to set this pipe. Like I said, if you're good, they're going to be perfect. They're going to be right where they need to be. But you're going to set this pipe that when you run a string line across, you put your paver on here. The top of the paver is going to be about 3/8 to a 1/2 inch higher, the top of the paver higher than the string line. The reason you're doing that is the last step in this process is going to be to compact these pavers, and that's going to make up for that little difference. Okay, so you're going to set them high. It's going to give you the ability to kind of flatten this whole thing out. At the same time, it's going to get the sand to come up into the joints. So you come in here, you set your first one. I move this around a little bit, but for demonstration purposes, we're going to be okay. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to level across. I'm going to kind of bang that down. Now, if you're not quite good. Sometimes what you're going to find is you start leveling this and the pipe's sitting up a little bit high. Little masonry hammers like this are great because you can kind of come in, create like a little trench, put your pipe in there, bang it down, make sure it's seated nice. Kind of look at the site, make sure you don't have any big stones like this. You can use a rake, but you know, we're doing it. Now, a couple quick things on your pipes, regardless of what they are, if they're steel or if they're PVC. You're probably not going to want to go out and buy pipes for the whole job. As a contractor, you're going to set your pipes all the way down. You're probably not going to want to do that. So what you have to do is you're going to have to do, this is that whole planning stage again. Figure out how you need to set your pipes and set them so that you can keep moving them. Always keep one pipe in for reference. I'll show you what I mean by that in a second, but one of the most frustrating things is you pull your pipes out and you're not quite done. Okay, now, the other thing about this is your gravel. Once you put your gravel in, you can basically walk away from this job for a year. Okay, and you're not going to hurt your gravel. You're going to have to fix it up a little bit, but it's not it. Once you set your pipes and you start putting your sand in here, now it's time to go to work. It's time to lay pavers. So, I can't think if I got anything else on here. No, that's about it. Next step is going to be screeding. Okay, we got our pipe set. Now it's time to screed it. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to screed. We're going to use 21 or 2&S sand or sharp sand or concrete sand. What this is, it's a natural sand. It's angular, and it really does well for drainage and for screeding. And it also helps lock up. Now in Metro Detroit area, we got other types of bedding materials. I'm not going to get into them. This is the product that we recommend. This is the one as a contractor that I always use. I like it best. Now, it's been raining the last couple of days, so my sand's going to be a little bit wet, and it's going to probably be a little more challenging to work with. If you find this happen to you, just let it dry out. You can cover it. Sand dries pretty quick. So, anyway, what you're going to do is I'm just going to shovel it in, but you can take it, put it in a wheelbarrow, and basically just kind of fill up in between your pipes. Kind of level it out, make it easier. Okay, now a little bit more and I'll get started. You can use any type of straight edge to do your screeding, and what you'll see is, you know, I'm gonna once I get this going, I'll show you. You know, I got my pipes here, they're about 3 feet apart, and I'm gonna use a 4-foot level. Okay, so when I go down here, if you look, I got a 4-foot level. My pipes are 3 feet across. I can easily screed about 5 feet with my pipes set up like this. I don't think you want to set your pipes any further apart than about 5 feet. Because once you do that, you got to start kind of reefing on your screed bar a little bit more than you want to, and it tends to kind of dig in on one side or the other. So what you do, you start, it's always easiest to start from top to bottom. Get started, kind of throw a little bit more sand in front of your level or your screed bar. Simply just pull it. Now, like I said, today stuff's a little bit wet. It's going to be a little harder to work with, but you'll be able to get her to work. Okay. I'm just doing a small area. Like I said, the video on YouTube better. It shows kind of the whole thing. But this, I always get people who kind of like, they get a funny look in their eye when I'm talking about these screen bars and everything. Okay, now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually pull my pipes out, and we're almost ready to lay pavers. Like I said, once you get your sand down, it's time to go to work. You only want to put in as much sand as you can lay pavers in a day. My recommendation would be have at least 3 kind of pipes set up. So I can screed this, I can lay this, I can have this screeded and lay it, then I'll have one other pipe set up. That way I got a lot of area that I can work, I don't have to stop. So what you're going to do, simply pull this pipe out, always leave one pipe in for reference, I'm going to put it there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here with my shovel again, add a little bit of sand into my trench. I got a concrete flow. Just kind of level that off. Now I'm ready to lay pavers. This is going to be my edge. Something that I want to tell you about the pipes. Now, give me a second here. Nah, it can't be that important. So, okay, now my sand's ready to go, and now I can start to lay my pavers. So, we'll move on to laying the pavers. Okay, the next step is actually laying the pavers. And what you're going to find is this is probably the easiest part of the whole process. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to just start. You got your bedding layer done, gone that far. So, and I'm going to start putting my pavers in. Now, what you need to do, and once again, this is all part of this kind of planning process, okay? You got to figure out how you're going to lay your pavers so you can eliminate as much cutting or make it look as nice as possible. You're going to be using this planning stage throughout the whole thing, because like I'm going to do like a running bond, like I'm doing a sidewalk. If this is a circle kit, I'm going to actually put my pipes in the middle, and I got to start my pipes in the middle, work my way out, okay? Now, a lot of times you can kind of work your way from like one side of the project to the other. Now, if it's a sidewalk, like a curvilinear sidewalk, I always recommend, and I'll show you a running bond. And if not, you can ask inside, and they'll tell you what a running bond is. But I like a running bond on like a curvilinear sidewalk because it looks good, but it also is going to eliminate a lot of cuts. And if I'm doing that type of project, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with my soldier course on the inside, kind of put my pavers in, and then I'm going to put my soldier course on the outside. Other times, like what I'm going to show you here, is I'm getting started on a patio, put my soldier course on one side, I'm going to work my way across. You got to figure out how it's best going to work for you. So I'm going to start putting it in. What I'm using today is a little bit of copthorn, and I'm going to combine that with Old Greenwich cobble. I'm from Unilock, so I'm all about quilting with different types of products. Now, I said this in the beginning. This project is going to have a long lifetime. Okay, so when you start looking in the books and you start looking at different prices, don't be too concerned about price, because pavers are different. Okay, like this is copper. This is one of our Select Series products, and I just want to show you something. Hear that? You kind of hear the difference between them. The Copthorn is a denser product, a denser paver. It's manufactured. The reason a product costs more money isn't because we want to just charge more money. The reason is because it's different. It's got different features and benefits. It's going to wear different over time. So take a look at everything you got and start and make a decision that you're going to be happy to live with. Okay. So what you're going to do is you're going to get square. You're going to stay square. When you're using 2&S sand or sharp sand, what you're going to do is you're going to start the pavers. Then you're going to work over the top of the pavers. It's a very good idea to get some plywood to kind of distribute the weight a little bit more. The larger the surface area of the paver, the less important the plywood is. But when you're working with smaller size pieces like this, your foot, you can kind of get your foot right on there, it's going to push it down. Not a big deal, because we got that loose layer of bedding sand, you can be able to take out those footprints, but it's a good idea to use it just to kind of drive you crazy, to tell you the truth. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to start, like I said, this is a running bond. Simply just get started. Go. In the tech guide, and if you ever see things, they talk about drop and click. What that is you come in, actually it's click and drop. Come in, you hit the paver, drop it down in there. That makes sure you're getting a good lockup. Nice tight joint. Just keep going. Now, the thing is, like now I got 3 layers in there. What I would do is I would measure that and take my string line, and I'd take that measurement and I'd put it out there, and I'd work to that string line. You want to get square, you want to stay square, and you want to check this as you're going across the whole project, because if you don't, when you get to the end, your lines are going to be all screwy, and it's going to take a long time to fix it. So that's how you're going to get started. Now, this is probably the easiest part of the process. Next is going to be cutting. We're going to talk about cutting here next.